Hello, you guys. So apparently, um, my friend Sheila called me, and I think the video said, the recording will end if I answer the phone. I couldn't hesitate. I couldn't hesitate. I didn't know what I was thinking. What was I meant to do? I called her for some reason. I answered the phone because I think that if I answered the phone, it would end the recording. What have I done? It would. I think I ended the video by answering the phone call, or maybe the phone call just ended the video. I don't know. What was I meant to do? It just, it's just annoying. It's annoying, alright? I told her I was making a video, I was saying something like that. I was saying that I would make a movie, and she was saying, okay, we'll talk later then. And then I was telling mommy about this I was working so hard of having that last video by almost an hour and 28-minute video. And and my mother giving me the idea if I could make a part two of the movie, but you guys would probably complain that it doesn't count as it doesn't count if you have a part two because it would count as a mini series. No, please don't say that. Please let it still be count as a movie. Please, guys, please let it still be count as a movie. Even when I make two parts of it, of talking it. But, uh, but you know what? Like I said before, that it can still be counted as a movie, an episode, even when I make mistakes, and even when I make separate videos about it, even when I make a few parts about it. So I could still say it's an episode, and I could still say it's a movie. So yeah, and you guys saying that you guys saying it still count it no, it doesn't count as a movie. It still counts as a miniseries because you're making two parts of it. You guys will get what's coming for that. And I'm still saying and will ever say that it is still a movie and it is still an episode, even when it looks like hold on. What I meant to say is it is still an episode even when it's as long as a movie, and it is still a movie even when it looks like it is still a movie even when I make a few parts of it, is what I'm saying. It is still a movie even when it can be as long as an episode. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to the scene where Twilight, like I was saying before, that about when you cut to the scenes where when you talk about scenes, it's it's like cut to the scene where the person's not talking, or cut to the scene where the person is talking in a conversation, or cut to the scene where it goes to the same scene but in a different room. And when you go to a movie, you skip to scenes, like a number of scenes, like scene number one, scene number two, like that. But what I'm saying is that Twilight goes to oh yes, and it does count as a scene where it's like scene number one, scene number two, and scene number three. But sometimes there's a scene where it's the same scene, where it's like where you can have there's a different room, but it doesn't mean a different scene. It's part of the same scene. Like it's still part of the same number scene. But as I was saying, Twilight is in this movie. Twilight is in the hallway, being angry because she's still at war with Flurry Heart, and she well, actually not at war yet until something happens. But she goes to Spike She like no, she was like saying to the guards, like, "What are you staring at? Lower your eyes. I am the ruler. Uh, you're not my equal servant, sir. You never will be." Something like that. What she is saying to Spike, like she was saying that to Spike while saying that to the guards. Like she says something similar. Uh, like I said ruler because there's no queen. There's no queen in or possibly there is, but not of Equestria. It's only princesses of Equestria, and it's only princesses. I mean, only princes of Equestria, and she was saying that to the guards while saying that to Spike, but she said something similar, like Elizabeth the Golden Age, like Elizabeth saying that in Elizabeth the Golden Age, but it's a little bit different. But it's Elizabeth. I mean, what I was about to say, this is a little bit different. This movie is a little bit different than the other movie, Elizabeth the Golden Age. Like this is a little bit, a little bit different than Elizabeth the Golden Age quote saying, "I am the queen, you're not my equal servant, sir, you never will be." It's instead Twilight saying, I am the ruler," but it's still a little bit different words in this My Little Pony movie than what Elizabeth had said in that scene in Elizabeth the Golden Age, is what I'm saying. So, after Twilight walks away, Spike realizes that she's mean, and he realizes that he cannot really hang out with her, and then the next scene, this is where the guards, the same crystal guards that went to Equestria that was bringing the news, talking about saying that Twilight knows about this, and saying that to Flurry Heart, and she gets mad. And Flurry Heart gets mad, and Flurry Heart and the guards, they sing their song. Like they sing. I mean, it's mostly Flurry Heart's song because she's mostly singing it. But I'm decided to say it's like I decided to make a reference to the song. It's reference of Scar song, like beware that, that song. I'm doing that bass. I'm doing that as a reference to that song, but it's a lot different than it's a lot different lyrics than that song in The Lion King. So after that musical scene of Flurry Hearts, like the scene ends, the Flurry Hearts, the Crystal Empire scene ends with that song ending, and then we get back to Equestria. The next scene where what next scene? Oh yeah, where Twilight talks to Sunburst and Starlight Glimmer, and having conversations about that Twilight, like she could use like having friendship with her friends and see how she could do this. It gives her an idea to have Spike, to bring in Spike over. That way they could talk, and that way they can. And well, if I said war, I meant like when there will be a war if something happens. Like they need to figure out some ideas before. I'm just clapping my hand. Like I'm clapping my hands by accident. That's like they're giving her an idea using the words of friendship in the not power of friendship. I did not mean to say that, but the words of friendship in a conversation, and that leads to. So since they gave Twilight the idea of that, Sunburst and Starlight Glimmer's idea to Twilight. Then giving Twilight the idea, or it could be the same thing. Then giving the idea to Twilight, or giving Twilight the idea, and that leads to the next scene where I was about to say Sunkiss. I meant Drakiss coming in to see Spike, telling Spike that saying like Spike's like saying something like mostly I forgot about the similar words like Elizabeth the Golden Age, but it's still a little bit different what they say in My Little Pony than what the other characters say in Elizabeth the Golden Age. But they had a conversation about that's like drag. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Oh no, I accidentally was about to say Dracovish, but I meant to say I meant to say Dracus. Dracus was summoned by Princess Twilight to bring in Twilight. I mean, to bring in Spike over to Twilight because it's like saying no, not an example, but it's like do you guys get what I'm saying? I meant like she was summoned by Twilight to tell Spike to come over to see Twilight because she needs him in a conversation and tries to apologize to Spike in the next scene where Spike goes to sees Twilight. She apologizes to Spike about this about her behavior after Spike explains about. No, he didn't really explain to Twilight about her. No. He didn't explain to Twilight about her behavior at all because Twilight apologized to Spike. Unlike that movie in Elizabeth the Golden Age when Walter Raleigh said about the Queen's attitude and so after that scene of Twilight apologizing to Spike, oh yes, this is two scenes I'm talking about. Um, Dracus talking to Spike to go to see Twilight. That was in a different scene, and the next scene, which is a different scene, was when Spike comes up to Twilight after Dracus was telling him to come over to see Twilight to just so Twilight could apologize to Spike. And after that, after that apologizing scene. Oh yes, Spike did accept her apologies. After that apologizing scene, yes, it was just Twilight and Spike in a conversation while Twilight is apologizing to Spike. After that apologizing scene, then we get to the scene where the changelings are praying again to the Alicorn goddess, saying something like after they were saying some other stuff about it's like the Latin language, like in Elizabeth the Golden Age, and like what they do in real life, but it's a different language of what they're saying because it's a different religion in the My Little Pony world. After clandestine was saying a different language. He clandestine was saying this. He was saying this. For he that will lose his life will lose it, and he that will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Alicorn goddess, be with us as the end approaches. We will not fear the coming of the shadow of death. And this was happening while this was going back and forth to the scene when Dottie I'm sorry. The times when I say was in the past videos because it happened in a different timeline because it's not happening on the same day as I'm talking about in the videos, but but I could say is or was whenever, like I'm saying is like he is executed or was executed, like it is like in the scene where he is executed by like where he is obliterated by the guards that work with Twilight. He got executed by obliteration. He got destroyed. Like that happened while that was going back to the scene where while the changelings were praying. Like it's the back and forth scene. Like it's the reference of it's exactly the back and forth scenes were exactly like the Elizabeth the Golden Age. The camera was pinned back and forth to the scenes exactly like Elizabeth the Golden Age scenes. I mean, the Elizabeth the Golden Age scene where that was happening. I did not mean to say scenes. I meant scene. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Anyway. So, Um, the next scene after the back and forth scene of praying and the execution, this this scene is when Jackiss is sad and she was she was alone until Spike came in and Spike was saying and Spike was saying about he was Dottie, he was your friend, right? And she was saying yes, something like that, and they began to after them having a conversation, they decided to they had kissed. They suddenly kissed, and that's when they first fell in love with each other. And then they decided to continue kissing, and then the next scene in prison, Gallus was saying to Senbar, well, along, Gallus was not saying to not to Senbar and Gallus's friends. He was just saying this to Senbar about Senbar possibly has a laundress or not. But Gallus says something like like Elizabeth the Golden Age about the letters that were found, and Senbar. After Gallus said that, Senbar was saying this. Well, I did not mean to say then Senbar. I meant to say I was trying to say Senbar, but I forgot to say that after Gallus had said all that stuff about the letters being found, Senbar then says something like this: "How am I to send my intimate letters?" And that's the phone again. That's the phone making notifications again. Actually, these are the exact words. Like in Elizabeth the Golden Age with Mary Stuart and Miss Paulette. The exact words were like Mary Stuart. Sandbar said this: "How am I to send my intimate letters?" And oh yeah, and same thing with Amos Paulette. Gallus said the exact words too. He answered to Sandbar through me, and Sandbar said this, "And you will read them." And Gallus said this, "With respectful admiration." And then Sandbar said this: "Am I to have no privacy?" And then Gallus said this: "No." And then Sandbar said this: "You disappoint me, sir." And and um and Gallus said, "No, actually, these are not the entirely exact words, but Gallus says something like this: The princess ordered these measures for your protection." And Sandbar was saying, guys, leave us. Me and Gallus need to have a talk. And they were like, all right, we'll leave. And then when they were alone, Sandbar was saying to Gallus. Sandbar was saying this to Gallus: "They call her the Tyrant Princess." Or they call her a tyrant, whatever, something like that to Sandbar. And after he was saying they call her a tyrant, something like that, he then said this: "Why is that, Gallus? Is she more of a tyrant than a friend?" Something like that, whatever it was like, instead of like Elizabeth the Golden Age, or maybe actually can be like Elizabeth the Golden Age, Gallus leaves and does not answer to Sandbar, leaving Sandbar angry because it's the same thing like Elizabeth the Golden Age where Amyas Paulette leaves from the conversation of Mary Stuart. But the reason why I was thinking of not doing that is because that's the only thing that what Sandbar said after making friends leave. But it's all right but it's all right to have that idea of Gallus not wanting to answer to Sandbar and leaves. That's a good idea to do that, to have that idea, like what happened in Elizabeth the Golden Age, that scene where he leaves Mary Stuart. Anyway, when I mean he, I meant Amyas Paulette leaving Mary Stuart. Anyway, after that scene with Sandbar and Gallus and their friends, we get to the scene where Spike and Dracus making out while Twilight is sensing something dangerous going on. Not like a Jedi, but she knows what's going on. She thinks that she knows what's going on. She thinks that Spike is not she notices that Spike is not hanging out with her recently, not hanging out with her recently, by working with her, and so after we could see, it's like a scene where it fades to, it's like the scene where it fades to Elizabeth, showing herself at the mirror while we're fading to this back scene where they're making out. Same thing like this here in the My Little Pony movie where when they were making out, and yeah, and then we get to the next scene where Dracus is learned like how to dance, and Twilight after the conversation of Spike and Dracus learning how to dance, actually Dracus knows how to dance based on the attitude of Elizabeth Throckmorton, but Twilight decides to have Dracus Dracus is showing Twilight how to do it, while Dracus is, no, I was trying to say is Dracus is trying to teach Spike how to dance, because Twilight is telling Dracus to do it, and Twilight was not demanding her to do it, she was just telling her to do it, and because there's still some good in Twilight, still some nice in Twilight, like the old Twilight, but anyway. They sing a song, the song starts off with, Dracus teaching him how to dance, like, you need to do this, do that, like, in the dance like that, and that was, and the scene, and after that song ends, Twilight then smiles, and, we then get to the next scene where Yana finds the message. And then, we then get back to prison where Yona finds the message and goes to the room to see Sandbar and their friends. Except for Gallus that was there. Gallus was not in that scene. The reason I'm saying was there because he has went in that room before, and he has went in that room in those scenes before, but Gallus was not in that scene this time. But as I said before, Yana went into the room, not ran over Sandbar, but she ran to Sandbar to give him the letter. She was running to Sandbar while giving him the letter while saying this, "My love." Yana was saying "my love," and she was saying that while running to Sandbar while giving him the message. She was saying that while running to Sandbar, giving him the message. And then Sandbar sat down and he read the message, and it shows a mirror of them reading the message. And there are some scenes where you see them showing themselves in the mirror, like the Mary Stuart scenes. Sandbar, in that scene with the mirror, it shows Sandbar opening up the letter, and Yana was there beside him, and after reading the letter, he says this, "I must reply." And then the next scene where Clandestine has to reply, he tells them to kill some of Twilight's guards. Oh, actually, yes. Butcher was actually there earlier in the celebration scene, and he actually did kill some guards to get himself in to be invited to disguise himself as as a pony or another creature, whatever. But getting back to the scene where Clandestine has the letter saying about they must kill some of the guards, some of Twilight's guards to kill Twilight, and after reading all the rest of it, it's like along, not really the rest of it. It's he said somewhere around the kill of the guards. So it said somewhere around there, um, and then after reading that letter out loud by saying that to himself, he said, actually no, he said that out loud to not really out loud. He said that just while talking normal. He was saying that out to the assassin changelings because they need to hear it and listen to what he was saying to the letter. And after saying that to the letter, and after saying about reading that letter, he says this. Clandestine says this. Clandestine is the one who's saying that in. I don't know why I'm saying was the one. He's saying is the one. Well, it's both of them because they are dead now, but because it's in the past timeline, Generation 4. But Clandestine was saying after reading out that letter, he said this. I think we have it. And then he was getting the not characters. Well, it is characters, but I did not mean to say getting the characters. I meant getting the changelings to get ready, saying about telling them to get ready. It's mostly like he's getting them ready, mostly like that scene with Elizabeth the Golden Age where he's getting Babington ready. Where he's getting Babington ready. Like I don't know if his first name was Anthony in that movie, but he was based on Anthony Babington, and same thing as this character based on Anthony Babington. I mean, Butcher based on Anthony Babington, and when I'm saying based on it, it's also sometimes based on the characters from the other shows and episodes. Like it depends. Like either no, actually, mostly from the shows. Like mostly from the shows, and mostly the shows and the mostly based on the characters in the shows and movies, and mostly based on the characters. I mean, mostly based on the people in real life is what I'm talking about. If I accidentally just said shows, and if I accidentally just said movies, I meant shows and movies. But anyway, after he was getting them ready to get them ready for the assassination. Well, actually, no, it's actually simple to say. He was getting Butcher to get ready to kill Twilight, and then getting ready to have I don't know if he did I don't know if that whatever this guy's name is trying to get Walsingham's brother to kill Francis Walsingham, but it was the scene was going to Francis Walsingham's brother, and whatever was happening it happened exactly like that. It happened exactly like that scene in Elizabeth the Golden Age, but the camera was going to what was it? Come on, what was it? I mean, who was it? I'm trying to think of the name again. Archie, yeah. It was going to Archie, and it was. And Clandestine, if that happened, if that assassin leader was going to Francis Walsingham, then Clandestine was going to Archie to kill Spike. Yeah, it would be exactly like that scene, and not entirely the exact words, but most the exact words, like the Elizabeth the Golden Age movie. But anyway, the next scene is where Archie goes to Spike and and he walks up to him, and Spike says to him that, I know that you're trying to kill me and you don't want to, but don't listen to them, okay? and and they something like that. And later in the conversation, they then hugged at each other, and and Spike was not killed. So then, so Spike was just telling Archie, having Archie, Spike did not have Archie arrested. So that's only by the orders of Twilight. The next scene, but like I said before, Archie was not arrested, and that scene ended with Spike and Archie hugging. But then the next scene, we get to have the assassins, the changeling assassins in disguise, and they kill the guards and killed some of Twilight's guards, and then they would go in disguise, and then while Twilight was praying along with Dracus, Butcher. It's Butcher that went in and to see Twilight in the castle to see Twilight in that praying room, where he's saying, actually, it was not in the first room that they went, or maybe it did. Well, not the first room is not where Twilight sits. I know that, but or maybe it is. I think I have not. I need to go back and watch the episodes of My Little Pony, but still, it was in a different room, not in where Twilight sat on the throne. But if it's not the first room where Twilight sits, then Butcher was go and think of himself in his mind, where is she? And he would go and see Twilight while Twilight was praying along with Dracus praying to the Alicorn goddess. The Butcher, not the Butcher, Butcher, his name said this after saying this while running, saying this. Twilight Sparkle! I didn't mean to say Sparkle like that, or maybe just Twilight. Twilight! And then she turned around and, he yelled whore. Babington yelled whore at Elizabeth, but instead of that, he just only yelled Twilight, and Twilight got up she doesn't do anything. She just stood there, and she was just being brave for him to destroy her. But the guards stopped Butcher, and Butcher was taken away, and the next scene. Before I say the next scene, this scene where Butcher was trying to kill Twilight. All I'm saying is after he was taken away, after trying to kill Twilight, Dracus was like, "Are you okay, Twilight?" But she didn't really say that. But Elizabeth Throckmorton did really say that, say, "Are you okay, Elizabeth?" She didn't really say that. She was just over there to Elizabeth because Elizabeth tripped, collapsed down, but. Because I think that Elizabeth was shot because of that deleted scene where Elizabeth was shot, but deleted scenes are not always canon. But this deleted scene, the one where one where Gallus was first introduced, that scene I was talking about in that last video, that is based on a deleted scene. We're not counting that as a deleted scene. Gallus first appearing there, not as a deleted scene. It's still canon to the My Little Pony universe. It's still canon to that. Even when that was based on a deleted scene, it was still canon to the My Little Pony universe. But that was it was still canon to the My Little Pony universe because I did not use that as a deleted scene. I was just using that scene that was based on that deleted scene from Elizabeth the Golden Age, if you get what I'm saying about that. But anyway. But Twilight does not collapse down. And you know what? Yeah, Dracus would say something like this to Twilight. Let's just go with that. She would say something like this to Twilight. "Are you okay, Twilight?" And like she was she was nodding her head yes, and yes, Twilight was a little bit scared because she would be a nice person not to destroy anyone. She would only let her guards and her friends just destroy opponents. But after Twilight nodded her head yes, and like I said before, maybe not. Twilight did not collapse down, but after that scene, the next scene, Gallus comes in the room, and Sandbar and Gallus's friends were just like they were just talking to Sandbar while Gallus was coming in to Sandbar's imprisonment room. Sandbar was then saying this to Gallus, something like this: "You bring news," and Gallus was actually saying this slowly because he can tell over Sandbar's attitude and his ambitionment, or whatever you say it, like his ambitious idea to destroy Twilight. He could tell by Sandbar's attitude. So Gallus slowly says this, like what Aeneas Poet said to Mary Stuart. Gallus says this solely to Sandbar by saying this. Actually, before I tell you that, he was slowly saying that. No, I'll get that later. I was about to tell you guys while Sandbar is looking at their friends, but when I'm saying their friends, I meant Gallus and Sandbar's friends. But before I get to looking at their friends, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Gallus said, the assassin went into the room where Twilight was praying, and Sandbar was surprised. Like he was waiting. He was putting his hoof like this, like waiting, like he was possibly sitting on the chair like Mary Stuart, but he was waiting and looking at his friends, and he mostly looked at Yona like Mary Stuart looked at her maid, Annette Fleming. But Annette Fleming was based on Mary Fleming, but they changed it to Annette Fleming. But anyway, getting back to the scene, he was looking at Yona, and he was waiting on for Gallus to bring in more news. Gallus was saying the assassin seized, and he was waiting, and he was looking at Yona again. He was looking at Gallus, and Sandbar's doing the same thing as Mary Stuart, like the way he's looking. After looking back at Gallus then said this: "The princess is unharmed." Or this: "The princess unharmed." No, because I'm doing it like Aeneas Poet, but that's what Aeneas Poet, like the writers had Aeneas Poet said it like that in Elizabeth the Golden Age, because that's how real life people would say it. But this is no, that those are still characters in that movie, Elizabeth the Golden Age. But I'm saying is in My Little Pony, they would not say it like that. Gallus would say something like this: "The princess is unharmed," and Sandbar got up from his seat, or stand up from either from his seat or sitting down from the steps, and he said this: "Unharmed." Sandbar said unharmed, and Gallus said this: "And you, Sandbar, are to be tried for killing some of Twilight's guards, for the murder of killing Twilight's guards, and an attempted assassination, and for the assassination attempt of Princess Twilight." Gallus said something like that, and he said that while the prison guards were coming into Sandbar's room, his imprisonment room, and room and imprisonment room is the same thing. And then imprisonment room and room is the same thing. Sandbar then said this. I'm sorry. hold on. After the prison guards came in, he said that Sandbar said this, or while more prison guards were coming in, Sandbar said this. Me? And what does any of this to do with me? The way he was talking. The way he was talking the same way as Mary Stuart was, and after Sandbar said that, he Gallus brought out his hand like to give for the one of the prison guards to give him the letter, and he opened up the letter saying, and Gallus said this. While Sandbar was just acting the same way acted as Mary Stuart, being scared, like looking around at his friends while being scared, looking at Gallus, Gallus was saying something like this: "It's your trouble of intriges, isn't it? Or intriges, isn't it? It's either intriges or intriges. Whatever it is, that's what Gallus was saying. That's what Gallus was saying. He was saying the correct word of that. He was saying the correct pronunciation of that word. After he's saying it's your trouble of intriges or intriges, isn't it? Something like that. After he said that, I did not mean to say something like that. I meant either intriges or intriges. Actually, it's intriges. Yeah, it's your trouble of intriges, isn't it? That's what Gallus was saying. After he said that, he then said this. So many secrets you can never. Sorry. I gotta start all over. So many secrets you can never quite be sure. It's either you can or you could never. It's something like not something like not when you're saying something like that means something like different like but it's when you say something that means something different like these are the exact words like in that scene of Elizabeth the Golden Age. It's either so many secrets you can never quite be sure. It's so many secrets you can never quite be sure who can. It's so many secrets you can never quite be sure who's on whose side until the game ends. Or it's so many secrets you could never quite be sure who's on whose side until the game is. It's either. Okay, I said it too fast. Sorry. I'm just doing this to get this over with. I'm just doing this to get this over with. This movie over with. But Gallus was saying this. So many secrets you could never quite be sure who's on whose side until the game ends. Or it's so many secrets you can never quite be sure who's on whose side until the game ends. Until the game ends. I know that, I accidentally said game is. I meant to say game ends. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? I don't have to start all over. But I know I said could. I know I said it the other way around. It's either could or can or could. But you guys get what I'm saying. But whatever he was saying, those are the exact words of what Ammius Paulette was saying in Elizabeth the Golden Age. And then he said the different words than what... he then says a little bit different words, but most of the same words, like Ammius Paulette by Gallus saying this. By saying this, Spike has every letter you've written. Something like that. Something... it's same thing, but different, but Spike, like Elizabeth the Golden Age. He said, Walsingham has every letter you've written. And, after he said Spike has every letter you've written, saying something like that, Sandbar then was saying, traitors. And then he looks at Gallus, smiles, he puts his hopes up, it makes that smile like what Mary Stuart did, and yes, and then it pins to Gallus feeling bad about Sandbar, and then it gets back to Sandbar saying, traitors. Traitors! And it gets back to Gallus feeling bad, and then gets back to, I'm talking about the camera being pinned to Sandbar. I was about to say Canbar, I meant Sandbar. Sandbar was, we cut to the scene where Sandbar yes, he is freaking out. He's like, he knows what's gonna happen. He thinks he's gonna die, and he claps down on the floor after possibly raising his hands up because he's a pony. He cannot really raise his two I mean two hoofs up, like what Mary Stewart did, because Mary Stewart was standing on two legs, of course. He, like I said before, Sandbar collapsed on the floor, and Yona's like, Yona confronts the Sandbar, and they're friends too. While Gallus walks away, and the guards from the prison walk to Sandbar to arrest him, while Sandbar just looks at Yona and with a crazy face, and then tries to does that sign like I know that I'm gonna have to show you guys. I never thought about this before by giving you guys examples, but you guys know. But even when I do not make these examples, that you guys get. No, I'll actually talk about that. I'll actually talk about that in another video. But I'm gonna give you guys an example of what Sandbar did, like right here, like this. No, like not closing his eyes, or maybe like Mary Stewart, but like this. Well, or maybe like this, because his hoof is a hoof, like this, not like this, not like pointing finger, but you guys get what I'm saying. The exact thing like Mary Stewart did in the Golden Age, Elizabeth the Golden Age. But getting back to what we're talking about, like after that arresting scene, we get to the scene where after the assassins of the changelings were caught off camera, even the leader, Clandestine, and the butcher, they were oh no. We're not getting to that yet. I was getting to that execution thing, but no, we're getting to the scene before the execution where Spike comes to see Archie and tells him that's like. It tells him that Twilight actually is pardoning him and releasing him. But why am I about to say but? You guys get what I'm saying, right? Wait, why am I saying you guys are getting what I'm saying? Why am I saying that? I did not mean to say but, and I did not mean to say get what I'm saying, but after that releasing pardon scene of what? Well, actually, in that scene where no, the brothers Francis Walsingham and whatever his brother's name was, they did not hug each other in that prison scene because his brother was chained up. But Twilight doesn't have people chained up in prison, but Spike hugs his friend Archie and gets him to not escape because he was pardoned, gets him out of prison and then the next scene, that's when you have the execution with Clandestine, Butcher, and all the other changelings that were working with them. They were executed by the obliteration again. And then we get to the scene where we get to the scene where Jack is saying in the hallway was saying to Spike, Twilight is saying something like this. Twilight is feeling not feeling good, is feeling ill. Like not ill like actually ill, but ill emotionally, but she's like saying you must go to her, and Spike accepts and he goes there, and Twilight looks at all the papers and messages what the assassins and Sandbar had written, and Twilight looks at these messages papers and looks at the papers and Twilight says this to Spike: "Are you here to tell me I must kill a friend?" No. No, I'm trying to do this almost exactly like Elizabeth the First. Is that okay? Still make mistakes? Yeah. Um, but okay, here's the truth, guys. Some of these lines I'm looking at, I mean, some of these, there are some of these lines I'm looking at in the distance. Okay, because so it's hard for me to read it in the distance while I'm doing this. Okay, I'm just gonna bring this up and Twilight said to Spike this. Are you here to tell me I must murder a friend? And Spike said this to her. I would never I would never presume to tell my princess what to do. I'm sorry for saying okay, before I continue. I'm doing this to get this over with, okay? I don't mean to talk fast, but I get distracted and getting this over with like the way I'm talking right now. It just happens, but you guys get what I'm saying. Even when I make mistakes, and even when I start all over again by saying them. So yeah. She then continues this by saying this. No, no. Spike then continues saying something like this. No, these are the exact words like the Elizabeth the Golden Age right here saying this. Since when were you so afraid? And then Twilight responds, I'm always afraid. And Spike says this: kill a friend, and kill a friend, and all rulers are mortal. We mortals have many weaknesses. We feel too much, hurt too much. All too soon we die. But we do have the chance of love. And Twilight said this: do we? I have given Equestria my whole life. Must he also have my soul? And then the next scene, one of her guards that are working with her, saying this. Sandbar must die. And then Twilight says something like this, like Elizabeth of the Golden Age. Sandbar must die. Who asked me to kill him? Is it written? Have I ordered it? Something like that, like Elizabeth the Golden Age. I know it's not mostly the exact words like Elizabeth the Golden Age, but she still did the same thing, like still say almost the exact words instead of me saying making mistakes. You guys get what I'm saying about that? Instead of me, she still did say that right. She still said those almost exact words right, even when I make mistakes. You guys get what I'm saying about that? All right. And then after Twilight said that sentence with "Have I order it?" that sentence, okay, I realized that it was actually me that ended the call. I mean, that ended that recording when I answered the phone call. But anyway, but that was a mistake. I couldn't help it when I answered Sheila. But I couldn't help it. But now I can. I wasn't thinking first before calling. I couldn't help it. But now I was thinking about it. I just let the phone keep playing. But as I was saying, after Twilight said a sentence like "Have I ordered it?" that type of sentence. Yeah, that I did not mean to say that type of sentence. I meant that sentence. She said something like that. Then one of the guards said this: "There is no time for mercy." Oh yeah, Twilight said, "Have I ordered it?" that sentence while throwing the paper down, crumbling it. And then while the guard was saying, "There's no time for mercy," and then while Twilight was saying, I was about to say he was gonna pick it up, but while he was picking it up, Twilight was saying this: "Don't preach at me, guard or sir knight, something whatever." He said this: "Look at you, you can hardly stand. Go back to your wife and bed," whatever something like Elizabeth said in the Golden Age, and then the guard said this: "The law must have its way," and then shows and it just puts the feather close on the table. After he flattened out the paper, he then said the law must have its way, and before he moved that little thing where you dip the ink with the ink pen and then um That was my stomach growling again. Sandbar then said, no, we get to the scene where, sorry, what? I did not mean to mistakenly say Sandbar. I meant to say Sandbar, but, it's another back and forth scene. We get to the scene where Sandbar said this: "By whose authority do you condemn me with? God is my only judge." He's saying that to Gallus and the prison guards. And Sandbar is saying that to Gallus and the prison guards. And Sheila texted me, but Twilight was then saying this, like getting back to the scene where Twilight was saying this to one of her guards: "The law is for common men." No, she was saying the law is for people we don't care about, not the ones we do. Something like that. And then one of the guards said this. One of the guards said this: "The law, Princess Twilight, is for the protection of your creatures." And then she's saying, "Leave us." Twilight was saying, "Leave us," and then she was making them leave, and she was looking at, she was sitting there thinking, on her throne thinking, and then we get back to the scene where Sandbar was saying to the prison guards and Gallus saying this, something like this: "You know neither who you are or what you do. I know who I am. And if I die, it shall be as I have left. As one of my own main 16, something like that." And then he said, "Trusting in the mercy of God my Father." Oh, I did not mean to say God my Father. I think Mary Stuart, that Sandbar is based on saying God my Father, like God is like father or mother or sister, like what you say in church. But she was saying trusting in the. I think if it's about God, then Sandbar would say this, like trusting in the mercy of the Alicorn goddess. Of the Alicorn goddess, my mother. Something like that. And then we get to the scene where Twilight is like going to the death warrant, and then Spike and Dracus was telling her, confronting her, telling her that she must do this, like that she must. Telling her that he must die according to the guards telling her to. So she was then decided to put in beheading, decided to put in decapitation, and decided to sentence him to death with that. And which I'll explain why decapitation in another video, but right now I don't have time for that. She then signs his name, and then the next scene we get to prison, where, oh yeah, when Sandbar was saying, neither who you are or something like that, by whose authority do you condemn me with, he was in a courtroom, but Sandbar is back in his prison room by asking a question to Gallus: "At which hour?" And Gallus said this: "Out at 8 tomorrow morning." And then Yona was crying. She was crying to Sandbar. Even their friends were crying as well. But and when I'm saying it scenes back and forth, oh yes, I already did explain that. Yeah, about scenes back and forth. Just to let you know that only the scenes with Sandbar, Gallus, and their friends, these are the only scenes when the prison guards show up in. Or almost all of them, because some of the scenes are just the room of Sandbar and Gallus and their friends, and possibly a laundress. But you guys know what I'm saying about that, right? Well, but I'll explain more about that in another video. Not in the next part I will do. because I decided to do next part because I'm going to Walmart with Sheila because she texted me about going to Walmart. The reason why I did not say that earlier because I was thinking of being busy with that, but I decided to, you know what, I'll just tell you guys that before I finish talking about this in this part two. But anyway, after their friends were crying, it fades. We then fade to the next scene where Sandbar is approaching to his execution, which leads to another song, which I decided to make it a reference of Frozen, Show Yourself, like come to me now, Alicorn Goddess, and ascend me to heaven, like after I'm killed, like that. But that happens later in the execution scene. But it goes back and forth with Twilight, wandering around and because and she's scared because her friend is about to die, and during the scenes back and forth where she I was not about to say the S word, but I was about to say I was thinking it's difficult to say it, but I realized it's easy to say it. Twilight was wandering around while Dracus and Spike were looking at her, wandering around because their friend is about to die, and then we get to this scene where oh yes, Twilight is singing about him about to die and wandering around, and even Dracus and Dracus and Spike were singing about that in that scene as well, but they were singing throughout most of the scenes back and forth in the song. But we get to Sandbar looking up to the scaffold while singing, and Twilight wanders around singing about him about to die. Actually, no. Dracus and Spike do not sing in this song, so because it makes more sense for Twilight to just sing. It makes more sense for Twilight and Sandbar to sing because it's about the two in the song. I did not mean to just say Twilight. It's Twilight and Sandbar, and after Twilight is wandering around the hallway with Spike and Dracus following her because just to confront her. Oh yeah, again, or maybe not again. I was just trying to remind you guys. While they were walking behind her, Twilight was singing about her, worrying about her friend dying, and the next day where Sandbar walks up while singing, and we get to. And then we get to Twilight singing about worrying about it, and then we get to the next scene where the prison guards and Sandbar's close friends, including Gallus, but I mean close friends, the ones in all the young six. The reason why I did not say young six earlier because they are older, but either way, it's all right that I say young six right now, and I should have said that in the other video, right? Yeah, it's all right. But anyway, they were looking at Sandbar. Like, actually, no. His close friends came up to him saying their goodbyes. Even Gallus, they walked down the scaffold while Sandbar was singing. Yeah, he was singing while saying goodbye to them. And after they walked from down the scaffold, he continued singing while they're walking down the scaffold. Then the next scene where Twilight is worried and she runs and Spike and Dracus were confronting her while Twilight is crying, and then Twilight was crying while she was still singing. Then we get to the scene of the execution, where Sandbar's still singing in the guards from the prison guard from up on top, from somewhere up from the wall, standing, just trying to get ready to jump down, and spread its wings and then cut its neck, cut his head off. No, I did not mean to say cut his head off. He did cut his head off. He cut his head off with one blow. A single blow with the wing. he had to, in the execution where you behead a pony, you have to fly. You, as an alicorn or a Pegasus, have to fly down and or fly straight. He did fly down and fly straight, but not fly down while cutting his head off. He flew down and flew straight to cut his head off, and and you have to fly fast to cut someone's head off with. Like, I was about to say some pony, but I meant someone because there are different creatures. There are different other creatures than ponies. Um, he cut his head off. He cut his head off with one blow. After, actually, I was about to say while flying fast. I meant cutting his head off while flying fast. And he cut his head off after Sandbar finished singing, and his close friends were sad, especially Gallus, showing a tear, and Iona crying over her loved one gone. So yeah, I know that was a little bit short for part two, but that wraps up for part two because I gotta go somewhere with Sheila, and I'll get back to part three. So yeah, all I can say is bye.